Okay, so okay, we have Kurt. Hello, Kurt.
Hello.
Want to. I'm going to have the lady stop. Have her start up again, and I'm sorry, playing with it now. There we go. Okay, enough playing. I just should introduce you guys. I'll start with Anthony. He deals with. Oh, let's go to the right one. So, as someone who likes to deal with native plants, he wants to point out that he's born and raised in Northern California. He's a native person. He spent 10 years working in commercial plumbing and irrigation before migrating to public utilities. He's been with Cal Water for 10 years, and he has worked in operations, as a meter utility worker, pump treatment operator, and program manager. Most recently in 2021, Anthony became the regional conservation coordinator for all of California's northern and central districts, which is a big territory. And I'm and so let me get to Kurt. Uh, he's been working in water conservation for 21 years and been with San Jose Water. He began his career at San Jose State, majoring in environmental studies, and uh, worked at Valley Water upon graduation. Um, he's worked for private consultants. I mentioned Valley Water, Ewing Irrigation, and now San Jose Water, where he's been for about 8 years. And he currently manages the field service department, and that includes the meter readers and water conservation, the meter shop, and recycled water programs. All told, it's a staff of 50 who read meters for billing, respond to emergencies, and perform water conservation audits for homes, businesses, as well as investigating reports of water waste. And then just to add to that is the John Tang and Justin Scarb were on yesterday talking about advanced metering. So obviously, you have some things to look forward to. So both San Jose Water and Cal Water have what I was kidding before, calling them concierge systems as far as visiting the house. And I'm sorry I'm not in your territory. I'd love to have you visit mine, but why don't I maybe Anthony? What you could start off with a smart landscape program, and Kurt can talk about catch and the acronym. So I'll tiptoe away.
Sounds good, Dennis. Good evening, everybody. Let me share my screen really quick here. There we go. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right. So good evening, everybody. Thank you, Dennis, again for having me back. This is my second Palooza this year, so we must be doing something right. I just want to take a few minutes and just kind of give everybody kind of an update of what we have going on within our conservation department, some new things that we have on the horizon, and some recent developments that are really sparking interest. As many of you probably already know, in Cal Water, we're always trying to kind of stay and remain in the forefront of maximizing any type of opportunities we can do to get our customers to engage in conservation measures and meeting our conservation goals. At times that, it requires us kind of keeping abreast of any new technologies that are coming up, reinventing ourselves, reevaluating the programs that we have, and obviously thinking of new things that can maximize those type of potentials. So we're always thinking outside the box. We're always trying to reevaluate stuff. We always do tend to keep all the the common types of rebates that affect interior, so high efficient appliances like clothes washers, toilets, other devices like that. But aside from that, we do like to always kind of like come up with new innovative types of programs that can maximize, obviously reaching those goals, and also that are interesting enough to get our customer base to engage with. So, like I said, we're always kind of thinking outside the box. Just to give an example of that, I'll kind of rewind back to the beginning of 2020, where we were kind of in the tail end of a massively successful direct install program for bathroom fixtures, in which we targeted first, obviously, lower income communities. So we were actually going into those homes and we were installing high efficient toilets. We were retrofitting and doing upgrades, shower heads, aerators, things of that sort, so we could maximize, the efficiency of those bathrooms. But again, because we're talking about the beginning of 2020, you can imagine that's also when COVID kind of hit. So with that came obviously the obstacles to try to navigate how we were going to keep that going, because obviously that put a damper on our ability to go inside of homes because of social distancing measures and things like that. So in an effort to try to, kind of reevaluate how we were going to keep the momentum going with our conservation programs, we turned our attention outside, which can be just as much, if not more impactful with regard to conserving water in the home. One of the main reasons for that, and it's a fun fact that I always like to share, this applies particularly to California, but we now know that here in the state, as much as 50 to even 70%, in some models, even as high as 80% of all residential water actually ends up getting used outside of the home, which is a big amount. The pie chart here kind of just puts it in perspective. But with that amount going outside of the home, obviously you have car washes and some things that occur, but the highest, like 90-something% of that is applied toward outdoor landscaping. So you can imagine why it's of utmost importance that those outdoor irrigation systems are obviously well maintained. They're working at their maximum efficiency. So it's a very important thing that we always encourage people to take a look at. What can I do outside of my home? One of the most important things that we always recommend people do, if they can do it themselves, is perform like a thorough evaluation of your irrigation system. It means you want to turn the system on, you want to let it run, you want to walk around, you want to look for leaks, maybe look for outdated equipment. If you do find things that are wrong or broken, obviously we want to try to perform any needed repairs as soon as humanly possible. Because just a break in an irrigation line outside, if that's running 2 or 3 times a week, it can actually amount to a significant amount of water loss that typically will go unnoticed. In addition to that, we want to make sure we're not overwatering and that we maintain our watering schedules if we have an irrigation timer so that we're meeting any kind of water restrictions, things of that sort. Also, we always recommend, if you can, if you don't already have one, upgrading to a smart irrigation controller, especially going into the months that we have ahead where we're going to start seeing some more rain, hopefully. What this is going to do is it's going to collect weather data via Wi-Fi. It's going to communicate that to the controller. And so it's going to keep you from watering on days that it's either going to rain or has already rained, because you don't want to be watering your yard at the same time. Aside from that, we always encourage people to, if any possible way, if you are using sprinklers to water shrub or plant areas, it's not an efficient way of watering landscape, especially when now with drip irrigation, you can deliver water directly to the root source of each of those plants in a much more efficient manner. So we're always, encouraging people to look at those systems. And if you have sprayers hitting all your bushes, that's a really good opportunity to conserve water. So another thing with the outdoor irrigation, the biggest part of this is these are systems that basically they run on autopilot. And in most cases, if they're timer driven, when that system runs, most of the time you're not there to watch it. You might be in bed or you may have already left for work, but in most cases, you're not going to be there to see if something's going wrong with it. So we do like to point out, there's a lot of common irrigation issues that tend to go unlooked. One of them is subsurface leaks. And like I said, they're often undetected. This could be an issue of somebody stepped on it or broke an underground line or drove across the lawn. It could be a tree root that grew through a pipe. But unless you're standing right there when this water is boiling out of the ground to actually physically see it, these go undetected and they can waste an immense amount of water. Another thing that we see a lot of is breaks in above ground drip lines. Typically, these drip lines, we want to see them covered in some kind of a mulch, but over time, the mulch tends to deteriorate or break down if it's not replenished. This stuff gets exposed to the sun, and ultimately it's going to result in it deteriorating and breaking down and causing leaks like you can see here in the picture. Another common thing that we do encounter are obviously damaged and broken heads. Kids are notorious for kicking these things when they're walking to school just for fun. On other occasions, you might clip one with the lawnmower, or your landscaper might run over one with the lawnmower and not know because it's not running. So, they're not going to know that they broke it. Aside from that, another big thing that's a huge factor is outdated and non-efficient sprinklers, particularly like the one in the picture here where you've got the impact type sprinklers. It makes for a really cool party dance, but aside from that, it's actually one of the biggest water wasting types of sprinklers that are out there. Another thing that can make a huge difference is obviously, aside from having a smart controller, just having a really old, outdated controller that may be outside of your purview to be able to adjust. I actually had the pleasure of physically seeing one of these old 1980s units not too long ago. And I mean, imagine going outside trying to adjust your irrigation schedule with that thing. It'd be kind of like, doing maintenance on a Westminster clock. So, obviously having updated controllers that we know how to manage ourselves at home, that's a big importance, of course. And last but not least, it's looking at our valves that operate the system. If you have older valves, whether they're automatic or manual, typically those wear out over time. The diaphragms and the rubber parts inside of them will wear out. So when they're running, they can often cause a lot of leaking and runoff that may go completely unnoticed. So it's another good thing to look at. So what we have done, obviously, those are a lot of things that we don't, maybe have the ability to do ourselves. And wanting to upgrade our irrigation system, or even just doing a thorough audit on it, it does come with some hurdles. Obviously, the first factor is time. It does take a significant amount of time to go out there, turn on your whole system, walk the grounds, look at all the equipment, look for leaks and breaks, and see what's going on. I mean, it can take an hour. Sometimes it can take longer than that. And assuming that you do have the time, another hurdle is, do you have the technical knowledge? A lot of people are not super savvy on irrigation equipment. They don't know what they're looking for. So you might be out there looking for problems and maybe not even able to identify them because they're not in your purview. Aside from that, if you do identify problems in your irrigation system, another obstacle is having the available resources. Depending on where you live, you may or may not have, access to really good landscape contractors that can come over and assist you with this and look for these problems. And, so that does present another problem that people typically will run into. And then let's just say you get as far as you do know what the problems are, you know what needs to be repaired or upgraded. There are significant costs associated with that. In most cases, it can be in the hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, depending on, what type of things are wrong. So that creates another obstacle, obviously, for being able to assess and address these type of things. So with that being said, what we have done is we have created a solution to where we bring the irrigation audit directly to your doorstep. And what that basically looks like is we've rolled out a program that we call our Smart Landscape Tune-Up Program. So basically what this looks like and how it works is you can go on our website and you can sign up under calwater.com/tune-up. After that, once you get it approved and we verify that you're a customer, we have partnered with a very reputable landscape contractor that has a statewide reach. So basically, they're going to make a phone call to you and they're going to schedule an appointment to come out to your home or business. And once they get there, what they're basically going to do is they're going to do a very thorough evaluation of your irrigation system. And I mean thorough. They're going to walk and look at every single piece of equipment that you have. They're going to be looking for, are there leaks? They're going to turn everything on and see what's going on. They're going to look for broken equipment, and they're going to be trying to identify, do you have outdated equipment? What water saving opportunities are there at your property? In most cases, they're going to make a recommendation, if you don't already have one, to install a smart irrigation controller, because at this point, everybody pretty much needs to have one. They're going to probably recommend the installation of high efficient sprinkler nozzles if you don't have those. They're going to make other recommendations like repairing drip lines that may be broken, replacing irrigation valves that may be worn or broken. And then if you have issues with spray bodies, they're going to make recommendations to repair those things as well. So what we do see with a lot of retailers and a lot of these type of programs is, you get this landscape audit, they give you a laundry list of things that you need to fix, and that does have value all by itself. But then, that brings with it the problem of how are we going to get these things done? Who am I going to hire? How much is it going to cost me? So to take the program a step further, basically what we've done is we have bridged the gap. And so we are actually going to review all those recommendations from the landscape contractor, as long as they're within the purview of our program, which everything on this page here is, and then some. And then we're going to give an approval to that project. And what that's going to entail is, if it wasn't done at the first visit, that landscape contractor is going to call you. They're going to schedule a second appointment to come back out to your home or business. And they're going to perform all of those repairs, all of those upgrades, all of those installations completely free to you as a customer. They actually will come out, do all the work. They send us the bill, we pick up the tab. It's that simple. So as you can imagine, this has become quite a popular program since we first rolled it out. Just to give you an idea of what like a typical project would look like, this is an example for residential. This is a single family residence that was recently worked on. And this is a pretty average kind of just an idea of what it looks like when we go to a house like that. So this technician, he recommended the installation of an 8-station weather-based smart controller. He repaired 3 broken drip lines. He installed 22 precision nozzles that make those existing sprinklers. They retrofit them and make them much more efficient. He replaced 2 broken anti-siphon valves and 3 broken 4-inch pop-up sprinklers. And this was all done in one visit. So when he drove away, you can imagine, this homeowner was left with a much more efficient system that was, obviously there's a lot of breaks and things on this list. So there was a lot of water being wasted at this house that's been resolved. On a larger scale, here's an example for like a more commercial type of a scenario. This is a larger multifamily apartment complex. So obviously the number of repairs were a lot more significant. In this case, they installed 2 16-station weather-based controllers. They repaired 8 broken drip lines. They installed 87 precision nozzles. They replaced 3 broken anti-siphon valves, and they replaced 6 broken 4-inch pop-up sprinklers. So it's a pretty big job. But if you can imagine all those broken lines and stuff like that, tenants typically aren't going to report leaks like that. So these things can go on for months and months, and it will equate to a large amount of water being wasted. So just this one job, this one trip alone, amounts to an enormous amount of water savings. So, these are crucial. Large scale, small scale, it all adds up. These are just a few testimonials that we've gotten recently from the customers that have participated in the program. I mean, they all look like this. Everybody's been crazy happy with what they've got out of it. And who doesn't love free stuff? You know what I mean? So we continue to collect these. We love hearing these from our customers, because they give us an idea that what we're doing the right thing, and we're moving in the right direction. Another really cool thing that I did want to point out was this program it actually turned enough heads that it was recently covered and featured in a US EPA report about assistance that saves, in which they actually did a case study in here that was featured. And it's a really good piece of information. The link I have there, it'll be shared later. I'm sure Dennis is going to share this slide deck at some point too. But I definitely recommend reading it. It really kind of explains the in and outs of the program and the long-term effects that we anticipated that it's going to result in. So since its inception in September 2020, here's kind of give you some stats, but our participation has been through the roof, and it continues to grow exponentially. To date, there have been 844 successfully completed smart landscape tune-ups to date. Obviously that's a huge number. The breakdown on that 844 is we've had 820 single family. So a lot of single family homes are participating in that, which is great. And then there's 14 multifamily. So those are apartment community type jobs. There's been 9 completed commercial jobs. And then currently underway, there are 778 projects that are being done as we speak. And that number continues to grow every day. So obviously you can see the reach that this program has generated, and the reception it's had has been even more than we anticipated. So we just continue to grow. So I definitely recommend, if you're interested in something like this, definitely sign up for it as soon as you can. I'll leave this slide up for a second in case anybody wants to pull out their smartphones and scan the QR. This QR code will take you directly to the page on our site where you can sign up for the landscape tune-up program. If you don't want to use the QR code or don't have time now, you could probably get it when Dennis posts the slide deck later. Otherwise, you can visit the URL that's there at the top of the screen that will take you to the same page. And it just takes a couple minutes to sign up. And then after that, you'll get a confirmation that we got your information. And then there's a little verification process. And after that, you should be able to expect a phone call from the landscape contractor to schedule your first visit. Last but not least, I always recommend people go into our website, even if you're not a Cal Water customer. It's just a wonderful resource for anybody and everybody that's looking to improve on, with regard to water conservation. There's a plethora of information on there. You can find fact sheets, tip sheets on how to conserve water at home, inside and outside of the home. You can sign up for informational mailings. You can make recommendations for our customer outreach program if there's somewhere that maybe you think it would be worthwhile for a Cal Water representative to come and share or speak with a group of people. And you can sign up for our social media posts so that you can follow us and obviously, be first to hear any news that we have with regard to new programs and also any drought updates that we have. So you can always find that at calwater.com/conservation. And also we have a new drought subpage, which is drought.calwater.com, which has a whole bunch of other really cool information. So highly recommend visiting that. And that wraps it up for me. I'll put my email address here and I'll drop that and the link to the program in the chat as well, in case anybody has any questions later on they want to follow up with me. But I will kick it back to Dennis.
Okay, Anthony, great. Appreciate your talking fast. I'm sure Kurt does too. If you put things in the chat, I will be following up with emails. Because we've had a lot of links today on various things. So, Kurt, equal time.
Thank you so much. I don't have as many slides, but Anthony, great presentation. San Jose Water, I'm gonna start sharing my slides. We also have recognized the importance of the landscape and the water use being used outside. So our catch program, let me get the slide presentation started properly here. There we go. Are you seeing it, Dennis, in a normal format?
If you go to display settings up top and swap presenter view and slideshow.
That work?
That works.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the last presentation of Waterpalooza. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day. I am Kurt Elvert. I'm the manager of field service and water conservation here at San Jose Water. As Dennis mentioned, I've been in the water conservation industry and field for over 20 years, and I've worked at Valley Water, worked at various water conservation consulting firms, also worked at Ewing Irrigation, and now I'm at San Jose Water. And our catch program was rebranded back in 2019. It used to just be called our water audit program, and it stands for Community Action to Conserve H2O. And really the idea behind this program, and this program being our flagship water conservation program, is to engage our customers in the efforts of water conservation in and around their homes and businesses. Our catch program basics. All right, some basics here. We've been offering this program for almost 2 decades. And prior to COVID, San Jose Water would perform about 2,500 individual catch inspections per year. These inspections are anywhere between an hour and 2 hours, depending on the size of the property. We do offer all-day audits for those larger properties like the multifamily properties or large landscape properties as well. But due to COVID, our customer base has kind of pulled back from really wanting wanting our services directly one-on-one at their house. So right now we're doing about 1,500 inspections per year. It has begun to pick up this summer, but not nearly as many as pre-COVID times. But also during COVID, we have also scaled back on what we do. We only perform outdoor inspections, and we're really focusing that time on the irrigation system. One, customers don't want us to come into our home into their home due to social distancing, but also it allows us and our inspectors more time to focus on where water actually is used during the summer, and most of that goes outside. So you can see some of our outdoor water use rules due to the drought. And these rules are really emphasized during our catch inspection. So these are our conservation inspectors actually do go and help customers meet these rules so that they don't get reported for water waste and that they can then be leaders amongst their own community in water conservation. And much like Anthony said, our inspectors, like his, will work with our customers. So this is a one-on-one type of conservation inspection. And it is really important for us to educate and empower our customers here. As you'll find later in the presentation, we are just the water retailer here, and the water wholesaler, Valley Water, provides all of the rebate programs for our customers to participate in to further make their properties more efficient. So this is really the first step that a lot of customers take to become more water efficient within their homes and outside. So what we first do is our conservation inspector works with our customers and shows them the water meter. The water meter being really the most important aspect within their home to identify where and how much water they use. So we take the customer out to the water meter, explain how they can read the water meter, and also how they can use that water meter to check their own homes for leaks. Obviously, we start there and see if they are using any water when they don't anticipate using any water. So we will time it for leaks if we find some leaks there, but then show the customer how they can do the same thing. We do have a YouTube video where we have one of our employees, a former employee actually, explain how to read a water meter and actually utilize that water meter to check their home for leaks and timing their own water meter for water consumption. From the water meter, then our conservation inspector goes to the irrigation controller. You know, that irrigation controller controls everything that the landscape does and needs for water. During that check, we're checking to make sure the current time and date are set. That's really important. Some of the older irrigation controllers have backup batteries, so 9-volt batteries that hold the programming. You know, most people forget to change these 9-volt batteries, just like smoke alarms. And if power goes out during, I don't know, PSPS events or times when the electrical grid is being stressed and there's rolling blackouts like we had a few weeks ago, these irrigation controllers, the older ones at least, can reset down back to basic programming. A lot of that is every station gets 10 minutes of water every day at 7 a.m. Well, if the current time and date are off, that 7 a.m. could mean 2 in the morning, could mean 2 in the afternoon. And our customers, they might be at work or asleep. They don't know when their irrigation systems are running, and that could lead to significant water loss. So we check those. We check what the run time is for each zone, scheduled irrigation days, and the start times for each program. We also check how many programs are being used. A lot of customers simply don't understand how these irrigation controllers work. They might have their landscaper program them, or they may program them once and then just walk away. So our conservation inspector does a first check on what's actually programmed there. And it is still one-on-one. Typically, a lot of the customers are standing right there, and there's a lot of back and forth of explanation of what is in the controller and what we're doing and how the customer can learn how to better utilize their own irrigation controller. From there, we actually run all the irrigation zones one by one. Our conservation inspector checks these and then flags any problems. So we do put these little blue flags throughout the landscape so that the customer understands where their irrigation problems are. Of course, the customer's usually there with our conservation inspector so that they understand exactly where these broken sprinklers are, overspray, any other inefficient aspects of these irrigation systems. From there, many customers, and because many customers really don't check their own irrigation systems, as Anthony mentioned, a lot of customers just simply don't know what's going on. So it's a really good opportunity for them to actually see this. These irrigation systems over the course of the summer will actually lose efficiency. For many of you that actually understand these irrigation systems, they are unpressurized water pipes, and they get pressurized when that irrigation zone opens, that irrigation valve opens. So there's usually a rush of water, hits that sprinkler head, then starts spraying water. Well, over the course of a summer, these irrigation sprinkler heads might come out of alignment. The sprinkler nozzle might come loose, and there might actually just be broken sprinkler heads. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And we really work with the customer and show them how they can actually check their own irrigation systems as well on their own. We do recommend customers do this once a month in the summer and a little bit more frequently with drip irrigation. But we lead the charge here and kind of educate the customer on how they can do it themselves as well. And then from there, through the evaluation of what the customer has with landscaping, that's plant type, that's irrigation type, and any drought restrictions. What we do is we then provide an irrigation schedule for the customer, and we will program it for them. Our conservation inspectors are trained in every irrigation controller out there on the market. They see them, so they can actually educate the customer on how they can program them themselves, as many of them simply have their landscaper do it for them. We have found some very interesting programming, as you can imagine. A lot of people don't understand what the multiple programs mean. Sometimes they think an individual program means an individual zone. So every program gets used, and an irrigation zone will see 4, 5, 6 different times of irrigation going off in a given day. It's amazing how that can happen. So we'll go there, completely reprogram the controller to meet any drought restrictions and irrigation efficiency needs that the customer has, so that by the time we leave, the customer's irrigation system is at least programmed to an efficient level. And immediately reprogram these controllers really helps our customers save water right away. And then really the most important thing is at the very end. You know, we hope that our customers have chosen to walk with our conservation inspector the entire time, but if they haven't, and even if they have, we do review the results with our customers at the end, so that they understand what the most important aspects of the next steps to take to make their system even more efficient. Now, I mentioned, Valley Water is the water wholesaler for our service territory. So what we do now at this point is we then recommend Valley Water rebate programs for our customers. With Justin earlier talking about laundry to landscape, we'll recommend that program if the customer is looking to take some water from their laundry machine and put that into their landscape. But mostly what we recommend is that our customers participate in Valley Water's landscape rebate program. And that's the program that will allow customers to upgrade their irrigation controllers, get those weather-based sensors, upgrade their sprinkler bodies, and as well as their sprinkler nozzles. Maybe the customer wants to remove turf grass. Our conservation inspector will provide suggestions on parts of their landscape that might benefit from removal of turf and the installation of low water using plants. And of course, Valley Water's rebate programs also provide a conversion from spray to drip in those shrub beds as well. So really it's a full service one-on-one type of conservation program where our San Jose Water employees meet directly with our customers and really help them identify ways that they can check their own landscape for efficiencies. And then because we don't go inside the houses anymore, we do provide our customers with leak detection tablets so they can check their toilets, as toilets are one of the largest sources of leaks within a household. And with that, that's what I have. I'd be happy to take any questions. We have drought information on our website as well. You can see here. I'll be providing this slide deck to Dennis so he can share it as well. But I'd be happy to take any questions.
Great. Thanks, Kurt. Basically, a couple questions came in, and they were generally of the integration with laundry to landscape systems and stuff, as you mentioned. Speaking of integration, it's interesting, to hear on the integration with Valley Water in terms of the scoping the programs, but then also making people aware of other programs like the turf and stuff. Anthony has obviously in some areas you're part of Bosca, but as far as the programs go, it's all in-house, I guess, with Cal Water, as well. Are there, I'm sure there's, based on just a lot of visits, and I know you're talking about, you're down to like 1,500. That's still a heck of a lot of visits, and I'm Anthony, you put up a lot of pretty impressive numbers, as well. And are there trends or kind of takeaways from? There were some things, generalizations that were mentioned about, probably seeing a lot of controllers not having the wrong date or something. But I just wondered about comments on that.
Anthony, if you want to start first, I'm kind of curious what you've seen.
Sure. I mean, I would say what we've seen more than anything in recent months, which is actually favorable as far as I'm concerned, is an uptick in more of the commercial and multifamily participation in the program. Initially, we did mailers and we do a lot of outreach to try to make sure people are aware of the program. But now as we're moving into, we've got the state requirements and restrictions and watering bans for CII type landscape for non-functional turf, things like that. And I feel like that's probably why, as a direct result, we're starting to see an uptick in people wanting to revisit their outside landscaping, or if they're not able to water their turf anymore, there's always the importance of wanting to keep trees alive in those situations. So it does create the opportunity for people to retrofit their spray irrigation to drip and at least keep those trees alive in those cases. So I would say that's a trend that we're starting to see, like an uptick in. And I'm hoping that it continues to grow. So, because obviously on those larger scale multifamily and commercial type applications, there's a larger footprint. So there's obviously a greater reward with it. Not to negate the large amount of single family resident participants as well, but it is impactful.
Oh, that's interesting. For us at San Jose Water, right now we've been implementing drought surcharges for our single family and multifamily residential consumers. So during the summer, some of our largest consumers tend to obviously use a lot of their water outside. And our water conservation program tends to actually follow our meter reading schedule. So as we read throughout our entire service territory, typically once every 60 days, we then about a week later, we'll start to get those customers calling us for our water conservation services. And the areas that tend to really drive our program participation are the areas within our service territory that have the largest properties, have the most irrigated landscape. And we really encourage those customers to reach out to us. We would hope that they reach out to us, in the spring before they really get into the summer irrigation schedule. But when they get those large bills, they reach out to us. They obviously want to do their part to reduce their bill, but also respond to the drought call. So the trends tend to be is this time of year, we're really working with some of our largest residential consumers to help them make sure that they're irrigating as efficiently as possible. And again, driving them to Valley Water's rebate programs in any way possible.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for sticking with us and presenting this. I will be editing a lot of video in the next couple of days, and I have a new idea that the guys who closed we're going to promote first. So we'll do a kind of reverse thing here.